Few cases in the history of reincarnation research have aroused such profound scientific interest as that of the Lebanese boy Imad Elawar. This little boy, who was born in the 1940s, remembered the life of a previously deceased man in such detail that even the most skeptical researchers were given pause for thought. Dr. Ian Stevenson, the renowned professor at the University of Virginia, who studied reincarnation phenomena for decades, personally traveled to Lebanon to investigate Imad's case. I have rarely encountered a case where a child possessed such accurate and verifiable information about another person's life, Stevenson declared after completing his research. Imad Elawar was born in 1948 in the village of Cornaillon, at the foot of the Lebanon mountains. His family were poor peasants who had never been to the village of Khriby before Imad's birth, which lay about 30 kilometers away from them. Nevertheless, as soon as Imad began to speak, he constantly talked about a certain man named Ibrahim Bouhamzy, who allegedly was his previous life. The little boy first began saying strange things around the age of 2. When family members asked him who he was, he answered, "I am Ibrahim." Later, as his language skills developed, he told increasingly detailed stories about this Ibrahim, whom the family knew nothing about. Imad's father, Saeed Elawar, initially did not attach particular significance to his son's words. "I thought it was childhood fantasizing," Saeed later recalled. But when Imad began saying details that a 2-year-old child simply couldn't have known, I realized this was something else. The little boy precisely described Ibrahim's house in Khriby. He knew how many rooms it had, what color the walls were, and also that there was a large fig tree next to the house. He spoke about Ibrahim's wife, Jamile, and that he had a cousin named Amin, with whom he maintained a very close friendship. But the most astonishing thing was that Imad knew the circumstances of Ibrahim's death. He recounted that Ibrahim fell ill on a winter day and died within a few days. He even knew that before his death, Ibrahim coughed a lot and had difficulty breathing. Dr. Stevenson arrived in Lebanon in November 1957 to personally examine Imad's case. "I considered it important to document every detail before the family would meet Ibrahim's relatives," the professor wrote in his report. Stevenson conducted a thorough interview with Imad and his family. The little boy was 9 years old at the time and could recount his memories with remarkable articulation. During the interview, Imad stated 57 different facts about Ibrahim's life and the circumstances of his death. In the next phase of the research, Stevenson traveled to the village of Khriby to verify Imad's claims. There it was revealed that indeed a man named Ibrahim Bouhamzy had lived, who died in 1946 from pneumonia, exactly as Imad had described. Ibrahim's widow, Jamile, was still alive and confirmed most of the details Imad had recounted. "When I heard that a little boy in Cornaillon village was talking about my husband's affairs, I didn't want to believe it at first," Jamile recounted. "But when I listened to what he was saying, I knew that only Ibrahim could have known these things." The most moving moment came when Imad personally met Ibrahim's family. As soon as he saw Jamile, he immediately went to her and said, "Here is my wife." He also recognized cousin Amin and knew exactly what relationship Ibrahim had with him. During Dr. Stevenson's careful verification work, it was established that of the 57 facts mentioned by Imad, 51 were completely accurate, 4 were partially accurate, and only 2 proved to be completely false. This represented 91% accuracy. Such a level of accuracy would have been impossible to achieve under normal circumstances, Dr. Stevenson opined. Imad's family had never been to Khriby and had no connection with Ibrahim's family. yet the little boy knew details that only Ibrahim's personal acquaintances could have known. One of the most convincing pieces of evidence was that Imad precisely described the interior layout of Ibrahim's house. When taken to the house, he found without any hesitation those objects he had previously spoken about. He knew in which part of the house Ibrahim's bedroom was and where the dishes were kept in the kitchen. Imad also spoke about personal memories that deeply moved Ibrahim's family members. He remembered how Ibrahim loved to rest under the large fig tree beside the house. He knew what clothes Ibrahim liked to wear, and also what his favorite food was. Join those who believe that the soul survives the body. Subscribe so you don't miss the latest reincarnation stories and spiritual discoveries. One of the most fascinating aspects of the case was how Imad related to Ibrahim's former personality. The little boy not only remembered Ibrahim's experiences, but also carried his personality traits. Imad's temperament and habits resembled in many respects how Ibrahim's relatives remembered him. Dr. Jürgen Kehl, an Australian psychologist who later studied the case, put it this way: Imad did not simply preserve memories from Ibrahim's life. His entire personality was permeated by these memories. This suggests that we are dealing here not just with information transfer, but with genuine personality continuity. The cultural environment also played an important role in understanding the case. In Lebanon, especially in the Druze community, reincarnation is a widely accepted belief. However, this did not influence the objectivity of Stevenson's research, as he concentrated exclusively on verifiable facts. I examined how much Imad's claims corresponded to reality, Stevenson explained. I was not interested in religious or philosophical aspects, only in where the child's knowledge could have come from. The circumstances of Ibrahim's death also deserve special attention. The man died in 1946, at 27 years of age, from suddenly developing pneumonia. The death was unexpected, and Ibrahim could not prepare for it. This may be important because in reincarnation research, often the most convincing cases are those where the previous person died suddenly, tragically. According to Dr. Stevenson's theory, as a result of the sudden death, Ibrahim's soul could not completely detach from his previous life, and this might explain why the memories were preserved so vividly in the next incarnation. Imad's development over the years was also noteworthy. As he aged, Ibrahim's memories gradually faded, and he increasingly began to develop his own personality. This is a typical phenomenon in reincarnation cases. Vivid childhood memories usually disappear by adulthood. By his 10th year, Imad rarely spoke about Ibrahim anymore, Stevenson noted during a later visit. But when he did, the memories were still accurate, just less intense. Dr. Erlendur Haraldsson, an Icelandic psychologist who continued Stevenson's work, conducted further investigations in Imad's case. Long-term follow-up of the case shows that reincarnation memories indeed gradually fade, but never completely disappear, Haraldsson determined. Among the specialists studying the case, a debate arose about what mechanism might lie behind the phenomenon. Some believe the information could somehow be inherited genetically. Others emphasize the role of the collective unconscious. Dr. Jim Tucker, who currently heads the Reincarnation Research Division at the University of Virginia, proposes a different approach. Imad's case suggests that consciousness is not limited to the brain. If consciousness is capable of surviving physical death, then it is conceivable that it could manifest in a new body as well. Skeptics naturally sought alternative explanations. They suggested that Imad's family might somehow have come into contact with Ibrahim's story and passed this information to the little boy, consciously or unconsciously. However, Stevenson's thorough investigation ruled out this possibility. "I examined every possible connection between the two families," Stevenson wrote. "I found no evidence that they could have obtained this information through normal means." Perhaps the most convincing evidence was that Imad also knew details from Ibrahim's life that even Ibrahim's close relatives had already forgotten. When Imad recounted these details, Ibrahim's older brother suddenly remembered them. "This little boy knew things about my brother that I no longer remembered," said Ibrahim's younger brother. But when Imad told them, suddenly the memories came back. Only Ibrahim could have known these things. Dr. Antonia Mills, a Canadian anthropologist who studies reincarnation beliefs in different cultures, evaluated Imad's case this way. This case is particularly valuable because it occurred in a culture where reincarnation memories are considered a natural phenomenon. This allowed the child to speak freely about his experiences. The scientific significance of the case is also enhanced by the fact that Stevenson thoroughly documented every detail. The notes, photographs, and recordings made during the research are still available in the University of Virginia archives. Modern neuroscientific approaches shed new light on cases like Imad's. Dr. Stuart Hameroff, a quantum physicist, believes that consciousness is not limited to the brain, but can connect at a quantum level to a larger information field. If Hameroff's theory is correct, then Imad's case is not as mysterious as it appears, believes Dr. Tucker. Quantum mechanics explains many phenomena that previously seemed impossible. Reincarnation research entered a new phase with Imad's case. This was one of the first cases examined with scientific rigor and skeptical approach. Stevenson's methods have since become standard procedures in the field. Imad's case proved that reincarnation memories can be scientifically investigated, determined Dr. Mills. This opened the way for systematic study of similar cases. Today, Imad is a man around 60 who lives a normal life in Lebanon. He rarely speaks about his childhood memories, but when he does, he still clearly remembers the most important details. He maintains contact with Ibrahim's family and occasionally visits them in Khriby. "Imad will always remain Ibrahim to me," says Jamile, Ibrahim's widow, who is now around 90. "I cannot explain how it's possible, but I'm certain that my husband's soul somehow returned." The philosophical implications of the case extend far beyond scientific interest. If Imad is truly Ibrahim's reincarnation, then this raises fundamental questions about human nature and the afterlife. Dr. Stevenson summarized the significance of the case this way. Imad's case reminds us that consciousness is a much more complex and enduring phenomenon than we think. This is a revolutionary insight not only for reincarnation research, but for all of consciousness philosophy. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. Join us so you don't miss a single exciting reincarnation story and discover those cases that question everything we thought we knew about existence. Over the years, numerous researchers have tried to refute Imad's case, but no one has been able to provide a convincing alternative explanation. The facts stubbornly and consistently support the assumption that Imad truly speaks based on Ibrahim's memories. After 30 years, we have not found a single piece of evidence that would question the credibility of Imad's claims, Dr. Tucker wrote in a recently published study. This case remains one of the most convincing evidence for the survival of personality. Imad Elawar's story is ultimately about how human consciousness is much more mysterious than we think. Ibrahim's death did not mean the complete disappearance of his personality. Somehow, he continued to live through Imad's memories. This realization has profound implications, not only for reincarnation research, but for all human self-understanding. The Lebanese little boy who spoke based on the memories of a dead resident of another village proved that there are phenomena in the world that exceed our current scientific understanding. Imad's case is a window into the beyond, reminding us that existence is much richer and more mysterious than we would think.